You wake up one morning with a plan so beautiful it almost feels illegal. A business idea, a book, a YouTube channel, a new version of you. You imagine the future in cinematic detail. Freedom, the recognition, the "I knew you'd make it" conversations. And then, nothing. The idea goes back into the mental drawer labeled "one day." Weeks pass, months pass. You still believe in the dream. You just never seem to move. If this feels uncomfortably familiar, don't panic. You're not lazy, broken, or secretly doomed. In fact, there's a very specific psychology behind why some people dream big but never take action. And here's the twist. The people who struggle with this most are often intelligent, self-aware, and unusually imaginative. Maybe that's you. Maybe it's someone you know. Either way, by the end of this, you'll recognize the pattern. And once you see it, it's hard to unsee. Let's start with a person who lives almost entirely in the future. They're not irresponsible. They're not careless. They're optimistic, almost dangerously so. You can picture them already. They talk about what they're going to do, not in a braggy way, more like they're narrating a documentary that hasn't been filmed yet. Next year, I'll finally move. Once things calm down, I'll start. I just need the right moment. Their mind is constantly projecting forward, constructing a future that feels so vivid it gives them emotional satisfaction now. That's the key. The brain doesn't fully distinguish between imagining success and actually working toward it. Visualization releases a small dose of the same dopamine as progress. So when they daydream about the outcome, the finished product, the applause, the relief, their brain whispers, "Good job, we're on our way." But they're not on their way. They're sitting still. Action feels unnecessary because the emotional reward has already been collected. Starting would actually mean trading a perfect imagined future for a messy, uncertain present, and that's far less appealing. Pause for a second. Do you ever feel strangely tired after planning, even though you haven't done anything? That's not a lack of ambition. That's ambition being satisfied too early. Then there's another type, quieter, heavier, and more conflicted. This person doesn't just dream big, they dream deep. Their goals aren't casual wants. They're tied to identity, to worth, to proving something. Maybe to others, maybe to themselves. And that's exactly why they don't move. Because if they try, really try, and fail, the failure won't just be about the goal. It will feel like a verdict on who they are. So they hesitate. They research endlessly. They prepare. They wait for confidence to arrive like a permission slip. Psychologically, this is called protective avoidance. The brain is choosing short-term emotional safety over long-term fulfillment. As long as the dream remains untouched, it stays pure, untested, perfect. The moment you act, the dream becomes vulnerable. It can be criticized, compared, rejected. So instead, they hover just outside the starting line, close enough to feel ambitious, far enough to stay safe. And here's the irony. They often judge themselves harshly for not acting. Why am I like this? Other people just do things. But the hesitation isn't laziness. It's fear wearing a thoughtful disguise. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. Have you ever delayed starting because part of you wanted to be certain you'd succeed? That's not confidence. That's self-protection. Now let's talk about a different profile, one that looks calm on the outside, but is mentally running a marathon. This person is a master thinker. They see angles, consequences, outcomes, risks, opportunities, hidden problems others miss. They don't just have an idea, they have 10 versions of it, 10 backup plans, 10 reasons it might fail. By the time they're done thinking, they're exhausted. Overthinking isn't a flaw of low intelligence. It's often the opposite. Highly analytical minds struggle with action because action requires choosing one imperfect path and ignoring dozens of alternatives. But their brain hates closing doors. So instead of acting, they stay in analysis mode, tweaking, refining, waiting for clarity. And clarity never fully arrives because clarity is often created by action, not before it. Their ambition doesn't vanish, it just gets trapped in mental loops. Here's the subtle psychological trap. Thinking feels productive. It looks responsible. It sounds intelligent. But without feedback from reality, it becomes a closed system, a loop with no exit. Be honest for a moment. Do you sometimes confuse being prepared with being ready? They're not the same. Then there's a type that almost no one talks about because from the outside, they look fine. They have potential. People tell them that all the time. You could do so much. You're wasting your talent if you applied yourself.
but inside they feel oddly disconnected from effort. Why? Because growing up, things came easily. When success arrives without struggle, the brain doesn't learn how to tolerate difficulty. So later, when a goal requires sustained effort, friction feels alarming, almost wrong, like something is off. They think, if this were really meant for me, wouldn't it feel smoother? So when things get hard, as they always do, they interpret discomfort as a signal to stop, not because they don't care, but because their nervous system associates struggle with failure. This creates a strange paradox: high ability, low persistence. They don't lack ambition, they lack a relationship with effort. And effort, by the way, isn't a personality trait, it's a learned tolerance. If this resonates, don't beat yourself up. You weren't trained for resistance, you were trained for ease. But ambition doesn't thrive on ease, it grows through friction. Now here's the twist most people miss. Sometimes the reason people don't act isn't fear or overthinking or comfort, it's meaning, or rather, the lack of it. Some people chase goals they didn't choose, goals they absorbed from parents, from culture, from comparison. They want success in theory, but not in practice. The dream looks good from a distance, but when it comes time to act, their body drags its feet. Because motivation isn't just about desire, it's about alignment. The brain resists goals that don't feel internally owned. It withholds energy, focus, drive. So they sit there wondering why they want something but can't move toward it. Here's a revealing question. If no one ever knew you achieved this goal, would you still want it? If the answer is no, your hesitation makes sense. Now let's zoom out for a second. Across all these types, there's a common thread. Action requires tolerating discomfort, uncertainty, and imperfection at the same time, and the human brain is wired to avoid all three. So when ambition is high but action is low, it's rarely a character flaw. It's a nervous system doing what it was designed to do: protect you. The problem is, protection and growth often want opposite things. And here's the part most motivational content skips. The solution isn't forcing yourself to just do it. That works briefly, then collapses. The real shift happens when you stop asking, "How do I get motivated?" and start asking, "What discomfort am I avoiding right now?" Because action doesn't begin with inspiration, it begins with permission. Permission to be bad, to be slow, to be uncertain, to be seen trying. Ambition without action isn't hypocrisy, it's unfinished courage. So let me leave you with this. Which of these felt a little too familiar? The future dweller? The self-protector? The overthinker? The untutored talent? The misaligned dreamer? Maybe it's just one. Maybe it's a combination. It usually is. And if you're comfortable sharing, which one do you recognize in yourself? If this resonated, stay around. These patterns don't define you, but understanding them can quietly change the way you move through your life. Sometimes the most ambitious thing you can do is start before you feel ready.
And let's be honest, start before you feel ready sounds inspiring until you realize how exposed that actually feels. Because starting means your idea leaves the safety of your head. It means the dream stops being hypothetical and becomes measurable. It means reality gets a vote. That's where many people freeze, not because they don't want the outcome, but because they don't want the experience of becoming the person who earns it. There's a psychological gap between imagining a future self and tolerating the daily version of you who stumbles toward it. The future self is confident, efficient, admired. Present self is awkward, inconsistent, unsure. And here's the part most people don't expect. Your brain prefers to identify with the future self rather than endure the present. So it keeps you dreaming, because as long as you don't act, you can still be the person with potential. Action replaces potential with evidence. Evidence is terrifying. That's why so many people protect their identity by delaying. If you never test the dream, you never have to update the story you tell about yourself. But notice how subtle that is. It doesn't feel like fear. It feels like patience, like timing, like waiting for alignment. Your brain is very good at making avoidance sound reasonable. And here's something even deeper. For some people, not acting has quietly become part of who they are. The idea person, the deep thinker, the one with so much potential. Those identities feel special. They come with admiration and sympathy without requiring risk. Action threatens that identity, because if you try and struggle, you become ordinary, human, learning, visible. That can feel like a loss. So the question becomes, are you protecting a dream or protecting an identity? That's not a judgment, that's an invitation. Because once you see this, you can do something radical. You can redefine what action means. Action doesn't have to be bold or confident or dramatic. It doesn't have to announce itself. Real psychological progress often looks disappointingly small. Sending the message, opening the document, working badly for 10 minutes, showing up while doubting yourself. Your brain will argue that it doesn't count, that it's not enough, that you should wait until you can do it properly. That voice isn't truth, it's resistance. And resistance always gets louder right before change. Here's another quiet truth. Many people think they're afraid of failing, but what they're really afraid of is discovering that success doesn't instantly fix how they feel. If the dream comes true and you're still anxious, still insecure, still human, then what? So the brain keeps the dream safely out of reach, untouched, idealized, because chasing the dream is easier than living with its reality. This is why some people are endlessly ambitious but chronically inactive. The dream has become emotional shelter, and shelters are meant to be stayed in, not left, but life happens outside. So here's a gentler reframe. You don't need to stop dreaming big. You don't need to lower your standards. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to make peace with being seen in progress. That's the real threshold. Not motivation, not discipline. Visibility, the willingness to let your effort exist before it impresses anyone, including you. If this is landing somewhere uncomfortable, good. That discomfort isn't failure. It's awareness waking up. So let me ask you, slowly, honestly, what is the smallest version of action you've been postponing because it wouldn't yet prove anything? That's usually the doorway. And once you step through it, imperfectly, quietly, without ceremony, something shifts. The dream stops hovering in the distance. It moves into your hands. Messy, uncertain, real, which is the only place it was ever going to come alive anyway. If you're still listening, sit with this for a moment. Which pattern did you recognize first, and which one are you most ready to outgrow? You don't need to answer out loud, but noticing is already movement. And sometimes that's how action finally begins.